3, 2, 1.
What's up, everyone? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, November 18th, 2018. We're going to do a technical analysis video on Bitcoin. Where are we going? Many of you might be questioning the same thing I'm wondering. How much should I accumulate if you're planning on accumulating Bitcoin now, or if you're thinking it's going to go lower? We're going to look at some interesting areas of resistance, interesting areas of support on the downside, and hopefully you'll be able to have a better, clear picture of what you want to do. So before we jump into the video, I tweeted a little bit ago about Litecoin. I said the more Litecoin goes down, the more bullish I become. This is about Litecoin, but it pertains to Bitcoin as well. We're in a market cycle. If you're long, don't worry about the price. Worry about your long position. This is the setup. When the setup is over, you'll wish you spent more time accumulating, not worrying. And so this is for all the commenters on this video that are going to be laughing at me because I'm accumulating and we could possibly be going lower. You don't get it. You don't understand my approach to the market. I don't think you understand how long I am and how invested I am in cryptocurrency inside the markets as well as outside as a recruiter. So let's talk about it. Bitcoin in the long term, this is the setup, right? We're in a setup right now after these huge losses and basically a cycle correction, right? Very normal. We're in a setup, whether that's here, whether that's down here, we're in a setup, we're leading up to a setup. And it's similar to what happened before. Here was your setup. Would you have liked to been buying to be accumulating back then? Of course, right? But there's a lot of fear down here. Now, I want to just paint the picture alongside Apple. And yes, you can compare Apple and Bitcoin. You know why? Because there's one very relevant thing driving both: human beings, human emotion. And this is the markets. And it doesn't matter if you're in Apple or Bitcoin, people want to make money, people are investing money, people are selling, people are FOMOing, people are fearful. And here we are. Apple, going back to the 80s back here, right? Look at this correction. Look at this setup. Look at this correction. Look at this setup. Look at this correction. Look at this setup. Be aware of the setups because they can pay off if you're a long-term investor. There's a really nice picture of that happening for Apple. Before we get into the charts, I do want to go over two things in terms of Bitcoin momentum, and we can start on Bitcoin daily chart. I really want to just point out, and I have it open here, the RSI on Bitcoin. Look at the RSI for Bitcoin. Look how oversold we just went in this last dip that we had, right? So right around 19, around the 19 area. And when's the last time we actually were that oversold on the RSI? It wasn't in this most previous correction. This is going back to August 2015. So the question is, what was happening in August 2015? Well, to give some clues, it was the end of the last bear market. The RSI was that oversold. That's not me saying now that we're at the same exact area that and the RSI is as oversold as it was at the end of the last bear market, that we're in the end of this bear market. I'm not saying that. However, it's a great indicator. It's a great clue. And it's very comforting for me in terms of the way I am evaluating my position in the market and the way I am accumulating. I am very aware that we could go lower in Bitcoin right now. However, this is a very good clue in terms of the bear market that we're in. So, moving on to Bitcoin on the daily chart. Here's what we got going on. I'm going to make it short and sweet for you because it's very simple to evaluate what's been happening. We've been keeping an eye on some patterns, whether it's a symmetrical triangle that we were keeping an eye on, a longer term symmetrical triangle that you see there, or this blue descending triangle. There's been a couple patterns we've been watching. So let's focus on this descending triangle on the shorter term. That goes back to, I believe, September. And you can see we broke through the bottom of it, right? We broke through that key support around $6,000 and we hit our target pretty nicely, which is the height of that descending triangle. We hit our target, we got there, and we were ready for it, right? This first dip out of that $6,000 zone to $5,500, we were ready for it. Now the question is, what next? And so I have two things I'm prepared for. And this is helping me in my risk tolerance and how much I want to accumulate Bitcoin right now. So here are the two scenarios. Number one is very simple for me. Number one is, after these lower lows that we've had, We broke 6,000, right? We don't have that support there anymore. So another new lower low has been created. Now, beyond that, we might actually have a new stronger lower low at the bottom of this wedge to test the bottom trend line in this long-term wedge. And that can bring us down to the very important, and I'm trying to find my price range, from the 200 EMA on Bitcoin. That would bring us down around 31%. And that is the sweet spot of accumulation. We always talk about that overextension from the 200 EMA, that 30% area. The 20 to 30% window is where accumulation begins for me. But that 30% area, has proven to be amazingly strong in terms of Bitcoin on the down low. So let's take the price range and just give you a quick picture of that, right? So 31%, 200 EMA overextension. Again, we can see where this one was. 27% overextension. We can see this one. 23%. You're getting the drift, right? 20 to 30%, 30% plus being crazy awesome area to accumulate. In my opinion, that's not financial advice. I want to throw that out there, but that is a huge, comfortable area for me. So if we do visit this trend line, $4,700, $4,500, you better believe you know what I'm doing in that area. So on the upside, though, we can kind of go to a cleaner chart and we can see, well, what's possible for the upside? We know that every time we break out of a pattern of some sorts, no matter if it's out of the upside or the downside, we always want to revisit the trend line that we broke through, right? Whether that was support that we broke through or resistance. So in this case, we broke through some pretty serious supports. And so in my eyes, what I'll be looking for is a revisit to that support area. So on the upside for Bitcoin, that could mean around, I think it's a 10% gain. So 9 to 10% gains to the resistance area that was previous support. So that's on the upside, something I'm keeping an eye out for. I'd be really interested to see if we approach that area and if we break it. If we break it, that would be the first sign that Bitcoin might have some legs. The bulls might have some strength in terms of kind of getting out of this long-term bear market. I think many people, especially now after this last week, are extremely bearish. That's completely cool. Maybe more people will be prepared for cheaper prices. That's good. But I do want to stress that a bull market could ensue at any time. So be prepared for it. And the first step to that would certainly be approaching this $6,000 area, the bottom area of this descending triangle. So let's go to the 4-hour and take a look at that, because there's not only the key area of support that we had in that area that we broke, but there's something else going on that we can also use for a nice area of resistance to watch. We have this previous swing high on the 4-hour to that previous swing low that we had, when was that anyway? Let's see. November 15th. So a few days ago we had this, and now you can see on the Fibonacci, the 786 to 618 channel that we love to watch, that is always so consistent for us, is right here. And you can see how it just hugs perfectly that trend line of that triangle that we were just talking about on the daily chart, this blue line, right? So here's that blue triangle. Here it is on the 4-hour. And there it is right in the middle of this Fibonacci area of resistance. It's a huge area that I will be looking out for. Would love to see what happens if we approach that area. If we see resistance, obviously, I would be very heavily anticipating that next move down to around $4,500. Be prepared for it, but something to certainly watch out for this week. Hopefully we don't just trade sideways all week. We have some interesting things to talk about. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you're having an awesome weekend. I hope you had an awesome weekend. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of the channel. I will see you all in the next video, and God bless.